Okay, we are on note 7, so the last notes for unit 3. Woohoo! What we are talking about here is isometric transformations. Those are rigid motions in the plane that preserve the size and shape. Remember, we talked about in transformations, our rigid motions are translation, rotation. My pen is fading out. This is so sad. And reflection. Congruence. Two figures are congruent if and only if one can be mapped onto the other by one or more rigid motions. Describe the order of rigid motions at the right. So what we're doing here is we're seeing how we're getting from DCB to DCB prime and then to D double prime, C double prime, D double prime. So first, this first one is a translation, followed by a reflection. The congruence statement relates one identical object to another by identifying the corresponding angles and sides to match each other. Use the diagram above to write a congruence statement. We would say that triangle BCD is congruent to triangle B double prime, C double prime, D double prime. Then it says, describe the rigid transformations, and then state what the congruence statement would look like. Here, it's a translation, and I would take 1 point and another and say, okay, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 1, 2, 3. So it's a translation of 6, -3. I know that R is congruent to V, Q is congruent to U, T and X, and S and W. So when I write it, I'm going to say Q, R, S, T, and then I'll start and I'll say U, V, W, X. Next one, this is a rotation about the origin, 270 degrees or a -90. Either way, they are the same. And I'm going to do Q, R, S, T again. And so then I'll have U, V, W, X. Last one is a reflection over the y-axis. And my congruence statement is going to be A, B, C, D, E. And that is congruent to J, M, W, Y, H. Then we have this statement that says corresponding parts of congruent figures are congruent. So basically, if two shapes or two polygons are congruent, then their corresponding parts, our sides and angles, are also congruent. So if I know that these two quads like A, B, C, D and M, N, O, P are congruent, I want to say which angles and which sides are congruent. So like angle A is congruent to angle M. Angle B is congruent to angle N. Angle C is congruent to angle O. And angle D is congruent to angle P. My sides, AB is congruent to MN. BC is congruent to NO. CD is congruent to OP. And don't forget the last and the first, so DA is congruent to PM. That is all for the first page. We do have a back. So we would say, determine if they are congruent. No angles are not congruent. Here, the sides are not congruent. So no sides are not congruent. So sides and angles must both be congruent. We have to write a statement for this that gets us from AB down to YZR. So first one, in this first step, we're going to say, how did we get from ABC to A prime, B prime, C prime? Well, we did a rotation about the origin of 90 degrees of triangle ABC, and we got A prime, B prime, C prime. And then we reflected over the y-axis. So a reflection over the y-axis took triangle A prime, B prime, C prime to the triangle ZYR. If we wrote it as a composite statement, we would have this one first. So we would say a reflection over the y-axis, followed by a rotation of 90 degrees. We start with triangle ABC, and we end with triangle ZYR. Last one, determine if they are isometric transformations. Determine if they're congruent by using isometric transformations. So first, we need to figure out, there's a missing step. They got from here to here, but there's a step in between there. Our missing step is a reflection over the y-axis. Nope, x-axis, sorry. Reflection over the x-axis. And so I'm 1, 2, 3 away. 1, 2, 3. It's going to be my S prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. Be my R prime. I can connect those two. And here I'm 1 away. So T prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Q prime. And connect. And connect. Voila! And then it was followed by a translation. In my translation, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 1, 2, 3. Feel like we had a translation just like that already. So if we wrote it as a composite, translation 6, -3, my little circle, reflection over the x-axis, and it is my quad of QRST goes to my quad of PLKJ. Oops, you guys can't see all of that. And that is everything for note 7.